Right, New Year's Day, January 1st. It's that day when the entire planet, or at least a significant chunk of it, collectively decides to turn a page. It's like a global agreement to say, okay, that last year it happened. Some good, some bad, some truly baffling. Now let's try another one. It's a big deal. People stay up late, make loud noises, and might even kiss a stranger. But the point is, it's a shared moment of transition. A global pause before we all dive headfirst into another 365 days of, well, whatever the next year decides to throw at us. Think about it. Billions of people across countless cultures and time zones, all focused on this one specific day, January 1st. It's not like it's inherently magical. The Earth doesn't suddenly do a cosmic backflip. The sun doesn't shine any differently. Yet, we imbue this day with so much meaning. It's the ultimate symbol of a fresh start, a clean slate. A chance to tell ourselves, this year I will definitely use that gym membership. The fascinating thing is how widespread this celebration is. Sure, some cultures celebrate their traditional New Year on different dates, and that's absolutely brilliant. More parties, frankly, is always a good thing. But January 1st has become this almost universally recognized marker. It's a civil holiday in most places. Businesses close, people get a day off. It's a testament to our human need for milestones, for moments where we can collectively acknowledge the passage of time and look forward with some semblance of hope, or at least a well-rehearsed optimism. It's a day for looking back, sure, but mostly for looking forward. And let's be honest, after the year we've probably just had, because let's face it, every year has its share of, are you kidding me? Moments. The idea of a reset is incredibly appealing. It's like your computer's been running slow, full of old files and questionable downloads. And New Year's Day is when you finally hit restart. You hope it boots up faster, cleaner, and without that weird whirring noise it's been making. Whether it actually does is another story, but for that one glorious day, the possibility feels real. And that, in itself, is something worth celebrating, probably with more loud noises. So, why January 1st? It feels so official. But it wasn't always this way. You might think there's some profound astronomical reason, like a sacred alignment of planets or the day the cosmic squirrels store their winter nuts, but no. The story of January 1st becoming New Year's Day is a bit more arbitrary, a bit more human, and as with many things in history, involves a fair bit of because we said so. It's a classic example of how traditions evolve, often through a series of decisions that seemed like a good idea at the time, or were just convenient for the people in charge. Our ancient ancestors, bless their cotton socks, were a bit more in tune with the seasons. Many early civilizations celebrated the new year around the spring equinox, which makes a certain amount of sense. You know, new life, plants waking up, that whole circle of life thing. Think rebirth, renewal, and probably a lot less complaining about the cold. The Babylonians, for instance, celebrated their new year, Akitu, in mid-March. It was an 11-day festival, which, frankly, sounds exhausting but also quite thorough. They were serious about their new beginnings, involving parades, rituals, and probably some very ancient forms of party snacks. Alright, so the Romans, they loved a good system, and their calendar was no exception eventually. Around 700 BCE, the legendary and possibly mythical, but let's not get bogged down in that, Roman king Numa Pompilius supposedly added 2 months to the calendar. Januarius and Februarius. January was named after Janus, the Roman god of beginnings, endings, doorways, transitions, and time. This guy was a two-faced god, and I don't mean that inner says one thing, does another political sort of way. He literally had two faces, one looking to the past and one looking to the future. How fitting is that for New Year's? Almost two on the nose, really. So Janus, with his dual perspective, seemed like the perfect patron for the start of the year. He could look back at the year gone by, all its triumphs and embarrassing moments, and simultaneously peer into the unknown future. It's a powerful metaphor, and the Romans were all about powerful metaphors, especially if they came with a good festival. Initially, the Roman New Year still bounced around a bit, but the connection to Janus gave January a certain gravitas, a certain start of something important vibe that it hadn't possessed before. It was a step towards solidifying January 1st as the big day. Fast forward to medieval Europe. If you thought the Roman calendar had its quirks, medieval Europe was like, hold my ale. After the Roman Empire crumbled, things got a bit chaotic, calendrically speaking. While the Roman tradition of January first lingered, it wasn't universally embraced. In fact, for a long time it was actively discouraged by some parts of the early Christian church because of its pagan origins and the, shall we say, enthusiastic celebrations that often accompanied it. Think less solemn reflection, more let's party, like it's 99 CE. During the medieval period, various Christian feast days were often used to mark the new year. Christmas Day, December 25th, was a popular choice. Section 5, Gregorian calendar. Finally, some order. Thanks Pope Gregory, the year is 1582. The existing calendar, the Julian calendar, introduced by none other than Julius Caesar back in 45 BCE, had a tiny problem. It was a good effort, Julius, really, but it slightly overestimated the length of a year by just 11 minutes and 14 seconds. Doesn't sound like much, does it? But over centuries, those minutes add up. By the 16th century, the Julian calendar was out of sync with the solar year by about 10 days. This was a particular headache for the church because it messed with the calculation of Easter, which is a pretty big deal if you're, the church. So Pope Gregory XIII, presumably tired of Easter, drifting into summer, issued a papal bull, Inter Gravissimus, among the most serious. This wasn't a bull you could wrestle, it was a public decree. And this decree introduced what we now know as the Gregorian calendar. Its main job was to fix the drift. It did this by, firstly, just chopping 10 days out of the year 1582. Yes, people went to bed on October 4th and woke up on October 15th. Imagine the confusion. Did I miss my birthday? What happened to my dentist appointment? It must have been chaos. Crucially, the Gregorian calendar reform also officially re-established January 1st as New Year's Day for the Christian world. All right, let's hop over to the United Kingdom, where New Year's, or Hogmanay as it's famously known in Scotland, is a very big deal indeed. The Scots in particular go all out. Hogmanay traditions are legendary and often involve fire, whiskey and a lot of singing. One of the most well-known customs is first footing. This is where the first person to cross the threshold of a home in the new year, ideally a tall, dark-haired male, brings symbolic gifts like coal, shortbread, salt, and of course whiskey. These are meant to bring good luck for the year ahead. It's a lovely tradition, though one wonders about the pressure on tall, dark-haired men around midnight. Across the rest of the UK, celebrations might be a tad more subdued than a full-blown Scottish Hogmanay, but they're still significant. Fireworks displays are common, especially in big cities like London, where the show over the Thames is a massive spectacle. Now let's cross the pond to the United States of America. When you think New Year's Eve in the US, one image probably springs to mind. Times Square, New York City, the ball drop. It's iconic. Millions watch it on TV and hundreds of thousands brave the cold. And the crowds, oh the crowds, to see a giant, sparkly ball descend a flagpole to mark the stroke of midnight. It's been happening since 1907, which is a pretty long time to be dropping a ball. The ball itself has gotten fancier over the years, now covered in Waterford crystal and thousands of LEDs. It's a dazzling spectacle of light and hope, and probably a logistical nightmare for the cleanup crew. But America is a big place, and New Year's celebrations vary from coast to coast. While the Times Square ball drop is the most famous, other cities have their own quirky drops. Atlanta drops a giant peach. Miami drops a giant orange, sensing a fruit theme here in the warmer states. Key West, Florida, famously drops a drag queen in a giant red high-heel shoe, which is just fantastic. These local traditions add a unique flavour to the national celebration. It's all about community, counting down together and making a lot of noise when the clock strikes 12. Let's head down under to Australia, where New Year's happens in the glorious sunshine of summer. This makes for a rather different vibe compared to the chilly celebrations in the Northern Hemisphere. Instead of huddling indoors, many Australians are heading to the beach, having barbecues and enjoying the great outdoors. Sydney, in particular, puts on one of the most spectacular New Year's Eve shows in the world. Their fireworks display over the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and Opera House is legendary. And because of their time zone, they're one of the first major cities to welcome the new year. They get to set the party standard for the rest of us. The Sydney fireworks are a massive event, drawing huge crowds and televised globally. There's usually an earlier family-friendly fireworks show around 9 p.m, so the kids can see some bangs before bedtime. And then the main event at midnight is an absolute extravaganza of light and sound. Imagine welcoming the new year with warm weather, the smell of the ocean, and a sky exploding with colour. So, after all this talk of dropping balls, first footing, ancient gods and papal decrees, what's the big deal with New Year's Day? Why this global obsession with January 1st? At its heart, it's about hope. It's about renewal. It's the one day a year where we collectively hit the pause button on the old and embrace the potential of the new. It doesn't matter if the previous year was fantastic or a complete write-off. New Year's Day offers a psychological clean slate. It's a chance to say, okay, that was that, what's next? And that feeling, that possibility, is incredibly powerful. Culturally, New Year's Day serves as an important marker. It punctuates the continuous flow of time, giving us a moment to reflect on where we've been and where we want to go. The traditions, whether it's eating specific foods for luck, making resolutions, or simply gathering with loved ones, are all ways of acknowledging this transition. They provide comfort, continuity, and a sense of shared experience. Even if you think resolutions are a bit silly or the fireworks are too loud, there's an undeniable energy to New Year's Eve, a feeling that something significant is happening. From a civil perspective, January 1st is crucial. It's the start of the fiscal year for many businesses, the beginning of a new tax year in some places, and generally the point from which we measure the year ahead.